Hello, let's discuss about welded connections. We have already completed the first type of steel connections, that is bolted connections. So the second type of steel connections is welded connections. What is meant by welded connections? When the various members of a structure are connected together by means of welds, the connection is called as welded connections. Okay, that means when we have connected two or more members by providing some type of weld, okay, and that joint is called as welded connection. Welding is the bonding between two pieces of metals at faces rendered plastic or liquid by heat and pressure. Okay, welding is simply done on the two pieces or at the face of the two pieces, and it is done by using plastic or liquid by heat and pressure. Okay, this is well known for all of us because everyone has seen this type of operation, that is welding operation. Okay, then what are the advantages and disadvantages of the welded connection that we have to discuss here? And just keep in mind, while we are discussing advantages of welded connections, that advantages are over the bolted or riveted connections. Okay, especially these advantages are over the bolted connections. So let's see one by one. Since the process does not involve driving hole, cross sectional area is effective, so more load carrying capacity of the member as compared to bolted connection. Okay, just compare always with bolted connection, because from these points and the points we have discussed in the bolted connection, that you have to compare, because there is a separate question always asked in the exam, that is the differentiate between welded connection and bolted connection, and that difference you have to write here, or you can point out different points from these advantages and disadvantages points. So second, welded structures are lighter than bolted connection. Okay, welded structures are comparatively lighter than the bolted connection, because here no additional member is required for the connection. But in case of bolted connection, the additional members, nut and bolts, are required to connect the major two components. Okay, that's why the bolted connections are heavier than bolted or welded connections. Then repair and further new connections can be made easily than bolting. Okay, just by doing welding process, the further or new connections can be easily made. Then members of such shapes that afforded difficulty and bolting like circular sections can be more easily welded. Okay, particularly when we have to connect circular sections, and the bolting process is very much difficult, and that's why the welding process is preferred, because it can apply easily. Then a welded structure has a better finish and appearance than the bolted structures, because the welded structures provide smooth joints, and that's why their appearance is again good as compared to the bolted structures. Then connecting gusset plate angles can be minimized. Okay, connection of additional members like gusset plate angles, that can be minimized in this case, or in welding connections. It is possible to weld at any point at any part of the structure. Okay, welding is possible at every point or for every part of the member. It may be smaller part or larger part. We can weld the structure at any time, at any place. Okay, but bolting always require enough clearance. Okay, bolting is some as much as not possible like welding. Then it is possible to get 100% efficiency. Okay, in case of welded connection we can get 100% efficiency again. Welded connections are more watertight. Obviously, welded connections have not any small gap left in two members or in the connection. That's why they are more watertight as compared to the bolted connections. Okay, and that's why especially for liquid storing members or liquid storing tanks, the process of member connection is used, that is welded connection, or welding process is done in such cases. Okay, then there are some disadvantages of welded connection are there. These are the some disadvantages. Welding requires skilled labor and supervision. Okay, this point we have exactly opposite point of this seen in the bolted connection. Okay, just compare all advantages and disadvantages of welded connection to the bolted connection, and you will find out majority differentiating point between welded and bolted connection, and the difference you have to write in the assignment. Okay, welding required skilled labor and supervision. Then internal stress in the weld are likely to set off. Okay, it means internal stresses in the weld, they are likely just set up or they built, and that's why the possibility of cracks. Okay, possibility of cracks in case of welded joints or welded connection is more. Due to uneven heating and cooling, the welded members are likely to get warped. Okay, due to heating and cooling process they get warp, means they get crack. They may get crack for higher loading. There is a greater possibility of brittle structure in welding. Okay, brittle structures in welding, there is greater possibility to get that structure brittle due to heating and cooling. Again, testing of welded joints is difficult. Okay, as we have tested bolts, nut and bolts, and bolted connections easily by applying the methods, that is shear failure, bearing failure, tensile failure. But in case of welded joint, testing is difficult. It needs non-destructive testing. Okay, it requires non-destructive testing to to check the strength of welded connection. We cannot measure the strength of welded joint directly. It requires some non-destructive testing equipments. Then it detects like internal ear pockets, incomplete penetration are difficult to detect. Okay, there might be possibility of some incompletion during the process of welding, or there may be some air pockets, they remains they maybe remains forever during the operation, and that we cannot be detect after the completion of welding process. And this is again main advantage of welding process. Welded joints are over rigid. Okay, welded joints are over rigid. That means after once we get the welding, that member is over rigid member. It means we cannot adjust or fold that member. It is over rigid member. Okay, the fatigue strength is less as compared to the bolted joint. Okay, this fatigue strength in case of bolted joint is high as compared to welded joints. Then these are the some types of welding joints. Just see the picture. As we have studied the types of bolted joints. Okay, these are again the types of welded joints. Butt joint is this, like this you can see in the first diagram. Then lap joint, corner joint, edge joint, T-joint. These are the some typical types of joints in the welding joints. Okay, these are the some important points regarding to welded connections, and these are some types of welding joints. We will see these types in detail in the next lecture. Just study all the points comparing with bolted connection, and you can easily understand what is meant by welded connections. Okay, just study this part. We will see next part in the next video. Okay, thank you.